want you to imagine something. Imagine that you went into one of your favorite restaurants. You sat down, the waitress handed you a menu, and you looked it over, and when she came back to take your order, you said, I don't know what I want. So you asked her, would you do me a favor and just go and out in the kitchen bring me anything? And she says, I don't know that I can do that. Well, please, would you do that? Because I don't know what I want. Okay, so she's on her way back to the kitchen thinking, oh, what am I going to bring you? Oh, I know. I love liver and onions. I think I'll bring that to you. You see, if we don't know where we're going or what we want, then life is just going to give us whatever. And it says in Proverbs, the 29th chapter, without a vision, the people perish. I always thought that that was for countries and nations and big groups of people. Until one day I read that and I thought, I think this applies to me. That where I have no vision, I perish. Well, does perish mean I'm going to die? It can mean that, but perish also has other meanings. It can mean weaken or deteriorate. It can mean destruction. So I took that to mean that there is a part of my life without a vision that is going to be destroyed. A part of my life that is weaker than it should be. I don't want that. I want to have a vision. I want to know where I'm going. In Genesis, which means beginning, we have in the very first chapter of our Bible what could be called a primary creation myth of Western cosmology. And in this, there is a vision. And there is, remember how the story was, there's a void, darkness. And this power that is called God, through a voice said, let there be whatever. Didn't say that. No, this power was very specific and it said, let there be light. And there was light. And in that moment then, there was something from the invisible realm that became visible. That power intended for there to be light. It intended for there to be creatures on this earth, and it intended for you and me to be here, to be created. So we could say, actually, since we are the image and likeness of that Creator, that we are a hologram. That we have that presence and power and energy within us. What does that mean to you? How many times have we heard that? And it's like, it just goes over our head. And I'm going to invite you today to really take that in, because what does it mean that you have the energy, the power, and the presence within you? It means that you are a creator with a creator. You can create your life. You can have a plan. You can have intention in your life. And you can direct your energy. It's very good to have that in our lives because, you see, we've got to know where we're going, don't we? I think we do. And when we have a vision, it makes a framework. And every action, every choice that we make then comes from that framework. Let me give you an example. I have a very dear friend that wants to enter ministerial school. She has a vision. That's her vision. I'm going to do this on a certain day. And okay, she put that in front of her. She probably says it 2-3 times a day, maybe more, I don't know. But then she has to have steps to get ready to do that. She has to quit the job that she's in right now. That's a choice that she's making now because of her vision. She has to sell her home. She has to start packing up her things. All this she's doing because of her vision. She has to let go of a lot of things, I'm sure of that, sell them, give them away, whatever, so that she can pack a little lightly so that she can get on the road to Unity Village. That's her vision. The word vision means to see. And often we think seeing, that's with our physical eyes. Yes, it is. We also use that word see in a different way as an understanding when we say, oh, now I see. And we also use it as our ability to visualize that which is not yet here. It's the ability to see beyond the appearances of this moment, to see beyond the circumstance, this circle that you and I stand in right now, the circle of our lives, to see beyond that, to see something else, where we want to go. So let's try it. I invite you to close your eyes for just a brief moment and to see yourself walking on a beach. You can feel how warm the sun is, how good this feels. But that's all the further we're going to go with it, so I want you to open your eyes. Was that easy? Yeah, it was very easy, wasn't it? You saw yourself. You see, this is such an incredible power that we take for granted. You're sitting here in the chair, and yet you saw on your mind's screen, your mind's eye, we usually say, you saw yourself walking on a beach. So let's give that more detail, shall we? Close your eyes again. And now we feel the sun, and it feels wonderful. We can even feel the sand squishing up between our toes. You just feel, you hear the surf, and we can almost smell the ocean. It's so good. We look out at the water and we can see the sun that is just dancing across the surface of the water. Feel good? Yes. Okay, you can open your eyes again. What have you just done? You just created a vision. And all you have to do now is add a date to that. When do you want to experience this? Maybe next June or July. You want to go to the ocean. You want to experience just what you visualized in your mind. Why not? Visions are something that are so easy, or we want to make them as easy as walking on a beach. And yet, when someone comes along and asks you, what do you want in your life? Whatever makes me happy. That's not a vision. I'm going to suggest that if you don't know what your vision is or what you want in your life, that you put your hand on your heart. This is where everything is centered, in your heart. And you ask yourself questions. First of all, what do I love? What do I love to do? What do I want to see in my life, perhaps in this next year? What is my job going to look like? What are relationships going to look like? There's a trip I want to take. Can I do that? Of course you can do that. There are so many things, but it's got to come from your heart. And do you know something? That this is way deeper than just a trip or a new job or new clothes. This is a calling. There is something that is calling you and me, and it's calling us all the time. And it's saying, know where you're going, have a dream, have a vision. This is something, this calling. It comes from your heart. And the heart is that place that puts us in communion with the life force, with the unconscious, with the center of our own being. And in this center is where we have answers. This is where we find solutions. And that vision, that calling, is announcing a need for change. It's not that your life might not be wonderful right now, but we always need change. Always. And that need for change says, wake up. There's something for you to do. I don't care how young or how old you are, there is something for you to do. A dream to accomplish. Something. And there's one other thing I want to add to that. Because the heart is the power. This is where you find the power to accomplish. And this power that comes from your heart, we call that by so many different names. It doesn't matter what you call it. Call it God. God within. Call it anything, but know that it will help you to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish in this life. Open yourself to it. I want to tell you a story, and you've all heard this story. But the story is important because it tells us how important a vision is, and it tells us that we do need to open ourselves to this power that lives within us so that it can help us get to where we want to go and accomplish what we want to accomplish. The story is David and Goliath. Now, we just heard this story in our Prosperity Plus class. And Mary Mann Morrissey, who knows how to tell a story better than anyone I've ever heard, of course, she had all the time, didn't she? We were listening or looking at a DVD, and here she is telling us this marvelous story. I don't have that much time, but I'm going to do the best I can. So in this story now, every time we hear a story from the Bible, we say, well, this is my story. It's your story. So all the characters in it, everything about it, are parts of my life, parts of your life. So let's look at it that way. So I begin now by telling you the story. It is found in 1 Samuel in the 17th chapter. It happens that the Philistines and the Israelites are fighting. They're at war. And they each are on a high hill, it says in the mountain. It says in the Bible, yes. And there is a valley between them. So when they are ready to fight, they come down into this valley to kill each other. And then when the fighting is over, they go back to their camps to be restored, renewed, and I'm sure to take care of the wounded. And it just so happens then that there was a giant that came out of the Philistine ranks, and he stands and bellers. I mean, he's huge, and everybody's frightened of him. He comes out and he says to the Israelites, send me a man that I can fight. And if this man kills me, then we will serve you. And if I kill him, then you will serve us. And every day he comes out. And every day he shouts the same thing. And everybody is so frightened. Now, in the meantime, David, he's tending his sheep. He's too young to be in the army, but his 3 older brothers are in the army. And so his father, Jesse, says, David, I want you to go and take this food to your brothers. So David finds someone to tend the sheep, and he takes this food, and he goes now and gives it to the officer in charge. But then he goes, because he says, I want to talk to my brothers. I want to see if they're okay. And plus, I just want to see what goes on. And so he's walking perhaps through thousands of people. And he hears things. Now he hears something that I never knew was in this story. And I wanted to see if Mary Manning Morrissey was making this up. And so I thought, well, I'm going to read this story very carefully. And this is what he heard. That the man who comes out to fight Goliath and kills him will get the riches of the kingdom. His family won't have to pay taxes any longer, and he gets the princess. The king's beautiful daughter. And David begins to think, oh, riches of the kingdom, no taxes to pay, and the beautiful princess. You see what's happening right there? David has a vision. This is what he wants. Maybe killing that giant was some altruistic thing in the beginning, but now he's got a vision added to that. And so then King Saul hears that David wants to do this. So he calls David to him and he says, okay, here's what you have to do. This giant is encased in armor. He has a shield, a sword, a javelin, and a spear. So you have to have the same thing. Because after all, this giant will get you otherwise. So you've got to put on the same thing and carry the same stuff. And David says, well, I'll try it, but... So he does, he tries it, and he can't even walk, he can't move. He takes it all off, and he says, no, I have to do it my way. I have a higher way, I have a better way. Here's a lesson for us right here. Can you see how Saul, which could be our ego, says, what you have to do is meet your problem, your Goliath. Do you think all of us have some kind of problem or Goliath or something standing in front of us? Now, every day we have something. It can be little, it can be big, but it's Goliath. And we have to find out a way to defeat this problem, this challenge, whatever it is. And so the ego says, well, all you have to do is meet the problem on the level of the problem. That's simple. You have to be equal to the problem. And that's normally what we tend to do, fight with the problem. And oftentimes we think, it seems like this problem is defeating me. Well, it is. And how wise David was to say, no, we can't meet the problem that way. We have to raise our thinking. So David has a higher way. You still with me metaphysically here? That, you know, this is all, David is part of you. David is that heart of you. David's name means love. And love, living from that, we are living from the most powerful force there is. That's David. And that's you. And Goliath, whatever is standing in front of us, we've got to get around, but let's remember, we have a vision. We have a vision, we know what we want, and we're going after it. So David is not so concerned with Goliath, he's more concerned and has his attention on the princess. True? Yes, absolutely. So now he goes out to meet the giant. And Goliath looks at him and says, you gotta be kidding. This guy? He says to David, you come to me with sticks. What do you think I am, a dog? It's true, that's what the Bible says. And he says, so guess what? I'm gonna kill you. It's not gonna be hard either. It is not going to be hard. And when I kill you, I will leave your body to rot, so the birds of the air and the beasts of the field will eat on it. And David looks at him and says, no, you're not going to defeat me. Because you see, you have all the outside protection. You've got the armor. I don't have anything, but I have something better than that. I have the power within me that is greater than any problem in this world, and it's certainly greater than you. So I will defeat you. And David ran toward the giant, and he took a stone in his sling, and he hurled it, and it went right into the giant's forehead, into that place of consciousness, and the giant fell on his face. Then what did David do? Well, David didn't have a sword. Love doesn't have a sword. But David took the giant's sword, and he cut off the giant's head. Metaphysically, what does that mean to you and me? It means that when we go into our hearts, we cut off our thinking of fear and doubt and negativity and all the rationalizations that our mind might have. And what's left? All that's left is the heart. All that's left is love, and how we are to live out of that. It is your story. It is my story. And Mary says, the name of this story should not be David and Goliath. It shouldn't be David joining with his problem. It should be David and the princess. David joining with his vision. And so this is our story. That we join with our vision. What do we love in this life? What is it that something is calling you to do? What is that? I invite you, if you haven't done it yet, go home. Go to your heart. Ask your heart. It will tell you whatever it is you need to do. And then open yourself to the power that lives right in here, that knows all the answers. I guarantee you will be led where you want to go.